Mike Wheeler, the Herald King of Hawkins. Now, Mike plays a very, very important role in this crew overall. He is the Herald, the moral king. He's the voice of the party. He's not a warrior. He's not a mage. He's not the rogue. He's the one who names the quest. And in mythic terms, Mike fills the role of the Herald King, the leader whose power does not come from strength, but from belief articulated into reality. And that's not an accident. This is baked directly into his Dungeons and Dragons role before the Upside Down ever even opened up. So we kind of know who he is coming into it. Now, in that role, he was like the dungeon master in training. So before monsters were real, Mike was already living in a world where rules matter, roles matter, and choices have consequences. So in those D&D terms, Mike is the party leader, not because he's dominant, but because he understands the structure. He tracks objects, objectives, assigns roles, and keeps the group unified around a shared narrative. That's the most important thing. And this matters because Stranger Things treats D&D not as flavor, but as its own foreshadowing. It becomes the structure of what they're executing there. So Mike doesn't learn to lead through Hawkins. He recognizes the world has just become a campaign, right? He's already ready for this, so he kicks into it instinctively. And this is a big leap. He has belief in power. Mike's defining trait is not intelligence or bravery, though he has those, it's belief. 11 was the living artifact, and she enters the story unnamed, unplaced, and dehumanized. Mike does something no adult does right off the bat. He names her. He gives her a role, and he treats her as a person before even understanding what she is. And in myth, this is crucial because naming is power. Recognition is grounding, and belief stabilizes the supernatural. So Mike becomes her first anchor into this human world, not through authority, but through acceptance. And he doesn't fear her power, he contextualizes it. This makes Mike even less of the boyfriend archetype and more of the mythic stabilizers, the one who tells the god child, you belong here, it's okay. And his leadership style is definitely the voice, not the sword. He doesn't lead by physical dominance, which is that's Lucas's role. He's not the clever improvisation, that's Dustin. And the emotional intuition, that's Will. He leads by language. He frames danger. He defines the stakes that they're up against. He articulates why the group keeps going. And when panic hits, Mike often speaks up first, even when he's unsure, which is classic for his role because he understands he has to keep it going, even, how painful it is. So in the myth, the Herald does not defeat the dragon. He doesn't wield the relic, but he ensures that the quest keeps moving forward. So he's literally the spine of the party. Without him, the group splinters into reactions instead of actions. And there's a cost that goes along with it. As his arc gets more interesting, his flaws are the same as his strengths. He believes that things should make sense if they're spoken, right? And as the series progresses, we see this world doesn't respect that rule. And his trauma can't be reasoned away the way he would want to. 11's identity can't be fixed with reassurance, and the Upside Down doesn't care about fairness or even logic. So this is a mythic kind of crisis of this young Herald, when belief no longer guarantees order, which is what he's centrally built upon. So he kind of fractures not because he's weak, but because his archetype is literally under strain. What he is being challenged by what the Upside Down is. So later he becomes more of this fractured Herald, and his voice kind of wavers. He's not as certain as he was. His leadership becomes almost more reactive in a lot of ways. But this is not a sidelining. This is his evolution. Oftentimes in myth, Heralds go to a period of losing their clarity, doubting their own authority, and that leadership is not control. So he has to struggle in learning that even his belief has to be able to adapt, not to harden. His relationship with 11 is very special, right? Like I said, it's a threshold. She is power incarnate, but he's the meaning incarnate. He defines that. So their bond represents the union of force and nature. Now, Will is like this silent oracle. Will feels all the stuff that Mike cannot articulate, right? This distance mirrors his growing disconnect from that pure intuition to more like strategic calculation as things get more real and more chaotic. You can't trust his gut as much as he would, so he has to rely on maintaining that structure. Now, Lucas and Dustin, these guys get to play more of the knight and then like a kind of a trickster role. And they challenge Mike's authority, not by overwhelming it, but kind of force him to evolve. They always keep him on his toes, even as he's making decisions and he's growing. They believe in him, but they challenge him, and they're not afraid to do it consistently. So Mike, in a lot of ways, he's not meant to be the hero. We can already see that that's not the story arc for this character. He's not going to be the one who strikes the final blows, but he might be one who says, this is what's happening and this is why we don't stop. And in this story of monsters, portals, and gods in disguise, Mike represents the most dangerous force of all. The boy who believes that meaning still matters, that these things are still important. And this is why he has to change, and this is why he still matters in the structure of this, and how their ultimate outcome manifests is going to be in large part to the words that come out of Mike's mouth.